What's up everybody, how you doing today, and welcome to a brand new video. This is gonna be the third part of my top 100 NBA players list, and we'll have the 60th player until the 41st. Once again, I'm gonna highlight that this is a very personal topic, and if you disagree about something, feel free to make your point respectfully on the comment section, but I'm always gonna explain my choices for all players that made the list. This list is not related to only the 2019 to 2020 season, so we're gonna have some players that didn't play the season at all, but their performance this year also counts a lot. If you like the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to fully support this idea, subscribing is a great idea. With all that said, let's now hop into it. Coming in at number 60, we have Kevin Love, the power forward from the Cleveland Cavaliers. An NBA champion in 2016, while forming a deadly trio with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, Love made significant changes to his play style over the years, translating from a post-heavy big man on his days with Minnesota to sort of a floor spacer. His production hasn't been the same the last few seasons, and in 2020 he averaged around 17.5 points and 9 rebounds a game on a Cleveland team that was the worst in the Eastern Conference. Due to his big salary and to the fact that the Cavs aren't anywhere near to contention, trade rumors surrounding Love's name are very frequent, and I bet some contenders will like to take a shot at the 5-time All-Star. Number 59, we have Draymond Green, the power forward from the Golden State Warriors. A great amount of people say that Draymond is overrated and blame him for his complete lack of offensive play, and his 2019 to 2020 campaign reinforces most of the weaknesses his haters point out, as he only averaged 8 points on terrible, and I mean terrible efficiency, contributing to the worst record in the league. But we can't just ignore the fact that the Warriors were without their biggest stars and that, when playoff time comes, Draymond Green turns into an unstoppable force. If this list was made last year, his spot would be way higher, and even though this season was one to forget, we need to put respect on the name of the 3-time champion and former Defensive Player of the Year. At the 58th spot, we have Gordon Hayward, the small forward from the Boston Celtics. Hayward had somewhat of a comeback year, as he struggled a lot last season, coming off a season-ending fracture on his tibia to now averaging 17.5 points. A former All-Star for the Utah Jazz, Gordon Hayward made his return from injury on the Game 3 against the Miami Heat for the Eastern Conference Finals, and even though he didn't put his usual numbers, the Celtics ended up winning their first game of the series. So Hayward will provide his team a ton of help to try a comeback and guarantee their Eastern Conference crown. Coming in at number 57 is Steven Adams from the Oklahoma City Thunder. The center from New Zealand doesn't have the stats that match with his spot on this list, but when you watch him play, you can see the impact he has on the court. Adams has a winning mentality that can be taught, being impactful especially on the post defense, but he can also be a threat on the offensive end by completing lobs. In the 2019 to 2020 season, the Aquaman averaged around 11 points and 9 rebounds per game. At the 56th spot, we have Montrezl, the center from the Los Angeles Clippers. The recently confirmed 6th Man of the Year award winner, Trez is an energetic big man that can cause real problems to the opposition at the low post despite his size. Averaging 18.5 points and 7 rebounds a game, Harrell is an impending free agent, and you can expect him to get his biggest payday possible to compensate his current steal of a contract, so the situation that is already pretty bad and uncertain can become even worse to the Clippers, as they can lose one of their most reliable core players. At number 55, we had Fred VanVleet from the Toronto Raptors. VanVleet had an outstanding 2019 to 2020 season, averaging 17.5 points and 6.5 assists, while forming an undersized but very good backcourt duo with Kyle Lowry. Another free agent this offseason, there are a plethora of rumors that some teams, such as the Pistons and the Knicks, want to guarantee the services from Freddie, as his performance on last year's playoffs solidified him as one of the best role players in the league, while also helping the Raptors get their first championship ring. Coming in at number 54, we have Zion Williamson, the power forward from the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion is definitely the most difficult player to rank in the whole league, as I could possibly understand if you think that he's already a top 40 player, or if he shouldn't even be considered to this list due to the small sample size we saw of him. The most hyped prospect in the last several years, Zion has set the league on fire in the 19 games he played before the season was suspended, but at the bubble he didn't show the same impact, especially at the defensive end of the floor. But one thing that we could certainly all agree on is that if Zion can stay healthy throughout his career, he will be something really special. At the 53rd spot on the list, we have LaMarcus Aldridge from the San Antonio Spurs. It seems like Aldridge has never got the recognition he deserves, as for the vast majority of his career, he could easily put 20 points and 10 rebounds on a nightly basis, with a killing mid-range shot that I personally love watching. But now, with already 35 years of age, LA is entering the tail end of his career, averaging around 19 points and 7.5 rebounds, while failing to take the Spurs to the playoffs for the first time in 23 years. Anyways, he should enter the Hall of Fame discussions when his career ends regarding his great days with San Antonio and especially with Portland. Coming in at number 52, we have JUSUF NURKIC, center from the Portland Trail Blazers. The Bosnian big man is very entertaining to watch, and his impact could be felt by the Blazers as the team clearly improved after his return from injury at the bubble, with him averaging more than 17 points and 10 rebounds on the 8 games he played. Nurkic is still young at 26 years old, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was named an All-Star in the foreseeable future. Occupying the 51st spot on this list is Danilo Gallinari, the power forward from the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's undeniable that Gallo's career so far has been very solid and, if not for injuries, he could have been even better. The Italian player was a big part of the teams that were the most surprising ones the last 2 seasons, them being the Clippers and OKC respectively. So we can make a case that Gallinari is another winning player on this list. This season, he averaged almost 19 points a game, and he's another guy whose future is uncertain, as he's an impending free agent this offseason. Entering the top 50, we have John Collins, the power forward from the Atlanta Hawks. A part of a very young team with huge upside, Collins is a very athletic big man that also has the ability to be a floor spacer. At a young age of 22, JC exceeded expectations as a late first-round pick in 2017, and he averaged 21.5 points and 10 rebounds this season, as the Hawks hope he can continue to progress in the years to come and form a thrilling duo alongside Trae Young. The 49th player on this list is Tobias Harris, from the Philadelphia 76ers. I've always been a big fan of Harris's play, and thought that he deserved to be named an All-Star on either the 2018 or the 2019 season. However, I've never agreed with the idea of Philly giving him such a ridiculous contract that now seems even worse after a disappointing season from him and basically the entire Sixers team that failed to match expectations. But in my point of view, Toby is still considered a top 50 player, and he averaged basically 19.5 points per game this year. Coming in at number 48, we have Eric Bledsoe from the Milwaukee Bucks. An athletic point guard, Bledsoe averaged 15 points and 5.5 assists in the 2019 to 2020 regular season, but his biggest trait in the last few years has been his perimeter defense. A now 2-time All-Defensive Team member, he isn't higher on this list by the simple fact that he keeps choking when playoff time comes. He fits perfectly on Mike Budenholzer's scheme on defense and helped the Bucks become the best defensive unit in the entire league, but his inability to shoot from deep isn't great for an offense that is ran around Giannis, whose biggest weakness is also shooting. At the 47th spot, we have JAMAL, the rookie point guard from the Memphis Grizzlies. If you had Zion Williamson as your Rookie of the Year winner, I have to say that you're out of your mind, as JAMAL had an outstanding rookie campaign. While most people thought the Grizzlies were going to be at the bottom of the Western Conference standings, myself included, Ja and the rest of a very young roster surprised everyone, and he was arguably the best player on a team that, if it wasn't for injuries at the NBA's restart, would have certainly clinched the 8th seed. The second pick out of Murray State averaged basically 18 points and 7 assists on good efficiency for a first-year player, and the only thing we can say is that Memphis has a bright future due to Ja's huge upside. At number 46, we have Nikola Vucevic, center from the Orlando Magic. For the second straight season, Vuce was the leading scorer on the Magic team that once again reached the postseason, as he averaged 19.5 points and 11 rebounds per game. The big man from Montenegro was an All-Star in 2019, but both years he led Orlando to the playoffs, they were unable to get past the first round, falling to the champions Toronto Raptors and to the first-seeded Milwaukee Bucks, respectively. Vucevic is a very reliable offensive player, being able to score inside and to be a floor-spacing big, but he also has his problems defensively. Coming in at number 45, we have John Wall, the point guard from the Washington Wizards. I try not to be biased on Wall's spot on this list, but I have to say it is really tough to rank a guy that has been out for that long. Even though the reports from inside the Wizards organization and from Wall himself are that he's going to return as healthy as possible, I'm pretty pessimistic as a fan in this case, considering that an Achilles injury compromises players' physicality, and Wall depends a lot on his athleticism. Even though I doubt it, if the 5-time All-Star comes back strong, Washington has a shot at being once again a playoff team, but it will be even tougher because of his contract that makes it basically impossible for the Wizards to snag quality free agents, depending solely on hitting on their draft choices. At the 44th spot, we have DEMAR DEROZAN from the San Antonio Spurs. We all know DeRozan wasn't worth trading for Kawhi, who in the same year brought a ring to the Raptors, but some people usually take credit out of him, especially because his game doesn't fit the current day's NBA, as he doesn't have a 3-point shot and relies on his mid-range game. But DEMAR is still a very solid player, a 4-time All-Star and a 2-time All-NBA, and had his season splits at 22, 5, and 5 in 2020. His future is also up for grabs, as there is uncertainty about him taking or not his player option this offseason. The 43rd player on this list is Blake Griffin, the power forward from the Detroit Pistons. Such a bad season from Blake, who averaged a career-low 15.5 points per game before having a season-ending surgery on his left knee. His contract occupies a ridiculously large amount of Detroit's cap space, and to make matters worse, the team doesn't have many quality players or even trustworthy rotational players, so the situation in Motor City isn't good at all. I hope that Blake Griffin could at least come close to his performance of last season, when he averaged 24.5 points, led his team to the playoffs, and developed a decent 3-point shot. At number 42, we have Sabonis, the power forward from the Indiana Pacers. The son of Lithuanian legend Arvydas, Domantas had his first All-Star appearance this season, having averaged 18.5 points and 12.5 rebounds a game, as well as 5 assists, a stat that shows that he's a great passer for a big man. At age 24, Sabonis is still young and, already being an All-Star, there is hope that he can one day bring his game to another level, maybe developing a 3-point shot. The last player on this video, coming in at number 41, is Jamal Murray, the point guard from the Denver Nuggets. These days, I wrote an entire article about Murray being the personification of current day's NBA, as he's very good offensively but a liability on defense. I believe that most people are that high on Jamal because he has a very aesthetically pleasing game, knocking down shots from deep and being decisive in some games. So I have to make it clear that I'm not a big fan of his game. I hate his comparisons to Donovan Mitchell. I think they're out of this world, but I have to fully agree that he elevated his game to a whole new level at the bubble, especially in the playoffs, jumping from 18.5 points in the regular season to more than 26 in the playoffs. Murray's young at 23 years old. He has All-Star potential for sure, but I think his spot here on this list is pretty fair for what he's shown so far since entering the league. So that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a thumbs up and, if possible, subscribe. That would make my day. Until next time, folks, peace.